In this captivating story, we explore the dark and dangerous world of Max Payne, an NYPD detective haunted by the brutal murder of his wife and infant daughter. Witness Max's unwavering determination as he dives headfirst into the shadows, navigating through the cold cases of New York City to unveil the truth behind his family's tragedy. Hello and welcome to I Am Movies. The film opens with Max Payne struggling to resurface in a frozen river.
It was an easy mistake to make.
Then the story cuts back in time to 1 week earlier when Max is employed as a clerk in the police department's cold case unit. His obsession with finding the ruthless murderer who took the lives of his wife and daughter consumes him. While sorting through files, a seasoned detective enters the department with a newly assigned detective, introducing him to Max's unit. Later, Max goes to a public restroom, and a gang of 3 men tries to rob him. One of them points a gun at him, but Max fights back and beats them up. Max threatens one of them with a gun and shows him the picture of his wife, asking if he knows anything or heard anything about her death.
Have you ever seen this woman?
Meanwhile, the third member of the gang runs away through train tracks and begins to hallucinate, seeing winged shadows attack him violently, and then he's crushed by a train. Later, Max visits a friend, Trevor Duncan, Max's informant and drug dealer. Trevor is having a party and doesn't want Max at his party, but Max doesn't care. Max threatens to ruin his party if he doesn't provide him with new information. Then, Natasha interrupts them and offers Max a cigarette.
Is that a light?
I don't smoke.
He tells her he doesn't smoke and compliments her tattoo. Immediately, Natasha's sister, Mona, walks in and tries to drag her away, asking Max to stay out of it.
Mind your own business.
But Max shows her his police badge and she moves away. Trevor then asks Max to leave, but he says he needs to ask Natasha some questions, but couldn't find her again. He begins to search for her and later sees her through the doorknob of a room taking a weird drug. But he's interrupted by a guy who had the same tattoo as Natasha. She comes out to meet Max afterward. Max asks her where she's been, but she demands he takes her home first. When they got to his home, he asks her a lot of questions, but she just didn't give him the answers he wanted. She continues to talk to him seductively. Max kicks her out and she angrily walks out.
I said, get out now.
She has been followed by someone, and it appears she's hooked on the drugs she had taken earlier, as she calls her dealer to get more. However, the shadow figures appear to her in the skies and start to chase her. She falls to the ground, and the winged figures descend on her. The next day, Max couldn't find his wallet. As he gets to work, he gets a signal from a police car. It is Alex, his former partner.
Look, jump in, will you?
Alex takes him to a crime scene where a body has been cut into pieces. Max quickly knew it was Natasha's when he saw the tattoo. Alex asks him if he knew anything about her death, because his wallet was found close to the crime scene. They both argue for a while about finding Michelle's killer, and Max walks away. Mona Sachs is informed about the death of Natasha. While she is looking at pictures from the crime scene, she finds Max's ID photo in the evidence pictures. Meanwhile, Max is informed by Alex that he has found a clue that links Natasha's death to Michelle's, asking that they meet at his house.
Max, it's me, Alex.
Max rushes home, but notices his home had been broken into. He brought out his gun and calls out to Alex, but there was no reply. A shadow figure attacks him sharply and beat him up. The next day, Max wakes up in the hospital and is informed by his friend B.B. Hensley that Alex is dead.
The whole force has you pegged as the prime suspect.
Later, Max visits the pharmaceutical company, Azure, where his wife used to work with B.B. Hensley, who happens to be the head of security. The CEO of the company approaches him and says her condolences to him. That same day, they all pay their last respect at Alex's funeral. Alex's wife is sad and blames Max for his death. On her way out, Detective Jim Bravder asks Max to come with him for questions regarding the death of Natasha.
Jim Bravder, Internal Affairs, I need you to come with me.
Detective Jim questions Max about how his wallet got to be with Natasha and his relationship with Trevor Duncan. Max angrily walks out of Jim's office, and BB tries to calm him down while in the elevator. As the elevator is about to close, Max walks out, leaving BB alone. He walks through the police department office and his colleagues say abusive words to him, blaming him for the death of Alex. However, Max doesn't care as he walks straight to Alex's office and locks the door behind him. He searches the room for any message that Alex might have left him, and his colleagues continue to bang on the door for him to open up. He found some clues on paper and squeezes them in his pocket. and they finally break the door open, but he had already escaped through the window. He heads over to B.B. Hensley's place to tell him about the clues Alex had left him. B.B. asks him to come inside, but he is not interested, and they both argue outside and Max leaves. He goes to a dark alley where he meets Mona Sachs pointing a gun at his head. She hits him with a whip and asks him questions about her sister's death.
You need to talk about my sister.
He asks her to help him find Owen Greens, a name he saw in Alex's message. They both head out to find Owen Greens. When they got to his place, he was hallucinating and screaming out loud as he was under the influence of drugs. They ask him about his final call with Natasha before her death. He says she's gone and jumps down from a broken part of the building, looking like he was pulled by a winged demon. Max and Mona head out to a tattoo artist to find out what the tattoo meant. The tattoo artist explains that the tattoo was for protection and is a thing that originated from Greek mythology. Meanwhile, Lupino and his men tie a junkie to a chair and torture him to death. Later, Max drops Mona off and visits Lincoln, a drug dealer. Lincoln tells her he heard about Natasha's death, saying she won't be the last. She asks him what he meant, and he says the devil is building his army. She asks if the devil has a name, and he tells her that they are many, but the one she's looking for is called Lupino, and gives her direction to his place. She asks him what he knows about Max, and he warns her to stay away from Max because he's dangerous.
Stay away from Max Payne.
Max goes to a storage house to get a file that concerns his wife. He notices the logo of the pharmaceutical company looks similar to the ones he had been seeing. He then meets with B.B. Hensley at a coffee shop to share this new information and asks for more information from his wife's supervisor. B.B. tells him the name of the man is Jason Coven, and Max leaves immediately. B.B. calls Detective Jim to his office and tells him about Max and how he lost his wife. Meanwhile, Max visits his old house and recalls the incident that leads to the death of his wife. B.B. tells Detective Jim to look for Max before it's too late.
I think you need to find him.
The next day, Jason Coven meets with the CEO of ADSIR Pharmaceuticals and shows her a picture of Lupino. She asks him if it was a threat, but he says he just wanted her to know about his activities, that she asks him to take care of it. When Jason gets to work, he's informed that someone was waiting for him in his office. He finds Max in his office looking at a picture of his daughter. Max demanded to know what his wife was working on before her death. Jason says it's nothing out of the ordinary and says he can't even remember it. Max asks him to make a call to find out. As he was about to make the call, Max hits him, repeatedly asking him for information. At the same time, Detective Jim arrives at the office demanding to see someone concerning Michelle's death. The receptionist goes to call Jason, but she only hears him screaming as Max beats him up, and the entire office is alerted. The receptionist calls BB asking him for help. Meanwhile, Jason confesses to Max that Michelle was working on a military drug that makes soldiers aggressive in combat, but it went wrong. He said the test subjects suffered hallucinations and deaths, driving them insane. Jason asks Max to protect him, telling him to take a file from his desk, saying he'll get everything he needs in there.
I will tell you what happened.
Max takes Jason hostage and steps outside, and the security unit arrives on the scene. They immediately shot at Jason, killing him. Max engages in a gun battle with them, and Detective Jim calls emergency service. The security team is determined to kill Max, and they shoot sporadically at him. Max shoots at the emergency fire sprinkler system, distracting the police, and makes a run for the file. Max tries to escape, but they keep shooting at him, and he sustains a gunshot to his arm. Max finally escapes through the back door and blocks it, but he's immediately confronted by Detective Jim, who asks him to turn himself in, but he refuses. As they were talking, the door blows open and he escapes. Mona meets with Max, and they both watch a video from the file. They find out the name of the drug is Valkyries, and how it has been used by military personnel like Lupino. Mona gives Max the location of Lupino's hideout, and he decides to go there, but Mona thinks it's a bad idea. Meanwhile, Lupino is getting ready to hunt down another victim. Max breaks Lupino's hideout, killing some of his men. He finds the drugs and continues to look for Lupino. Lupino shows up wielding a sword. They both engage in a fight, but Lupino was stronger. As Max was on the floor, Lupino tries to strike him with his sword, but BB appears and shoots him in the chest. Max was surprised and kept asking him what was going on. BB takes Max away from the place, and as they were going, Joe, one of BB's men, knocks Max unconscious and cuffs him. When Max wakes up, BB tells him what led to Michelle's death, how he was responsible for her death, and the baby due to the information she knew about the drugs.
Michelle was the first problem in my life.
As they get to the shore of a frozen river, Joe decides to kill Max, but BB asks him to wait and says he had other plans. BB gets some weight and puts some Valkyries in Max's pocket to frame his death as a junkie suicide, but Max quickly fights them and runs away, diving into the freezing water as they continue to shoot at him. They look out for his body, so they think he'll freeze to death. Max struggles to swim, but later drowns in the river. As he was drowning, the memory of his wife and baby flashed through him, and he finally struggles to escape the water. When he gets out, he pulls out the drug, emptying everything into his mouth. He gets up stronger than ever and heads out. At the police station, Detective Jim is confronted by a police officer who asks him why half of his team is sitting down instead of heading out to look for Max. Jim faces him, saying he is investigating the murder of Jason and the attempted murder of Max. Jim invites the FBI agents he had informed of the situation. One of BB's informants immediately calls him about the presence of FBI agents, and he panics. FBI agents were on their way, and BB decides to run away with Joe and some security men. When they go to BB's car, they saw that Max had killed the driver and was somewhere around. Immediately, Max appears and starts killing them, but BB and Joe manage to escape. Max begins to hallucinate. He sees his wife, Michelle, and then some winged demons hovering in the air. One of the security who was there tries to kill him, but Mona comes to his aid. Mona finds Joe and shoots him, rendering him helpless. Police arrive at the scene. Joe is not dead yet. He uses a grenade to blow up the building. Finally, Max finds BB on the rooftop trying to escape. BB shoots at Max, but quickly runs out of bullets. Max takes BB out with one shot through his chest. And the police arrive at the scene with Max on his knees. The movie explores themes of lost vengeance and the blurred line between reality and the supernatural. Through intense action sequences and a gripping narrative, it captures the essence of life while offering a unique interpretation of Max's story. And that's the end of this recap. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more. Thanks for watching, and see you at the next one.